Okay, this is O.J. Simpson Part 2. I had to make a sacrifice. I did a 10-minute video talking about how artificial intelligence recruits game players the same way that the NFL draft does, the same way the selective service system does, cyber command, full spectrum dominance, the hierarchy stuff, right? And this is something about hierarchies. When you go into the U.S. military, all these guys know this. In Vietnam, they used to have something called fragging. Okay, this is sort of how you can define the difference between the Washington Redskins and the Dallas Cowboys, in the way that they define black and white, between king and queen on a chessboard. Okay, a king and a queen joined as one is more powerful as one than when they're separated. Okay, that makes more sense. That's a lot more energy. You think? That's a bigger whirlpool. Okay, so when it comes to healing practices, that's a powerful healing practice, right? That's called old school. So when it came to O.J. Simpson, and I mentioned it in the previous video about MK Ultra and all that kind of stuff, right? Being recruited into Star Wars video games to play a role, right? All you got to do is fill out a job application and apply your consciousness to play a Star Wars video game. Is that all I got to do? Yeah, that's all you got to do. So you got to decide what you're going to do with your consciousness. That's your journey. That's called a spiritual journey. So that's called a spiritual practice. So this is where we get into teachers. Who were your teachers? Who were your guides? Known as the guideposts. Remember Twilight Zone? Remember the game Stop with Twilight Zone? Stop. Look ahead. Next stop, Twilight Zone. And what do they give you? Spiral. Going down a hole. So everything's coded. So you got to know whose codes belong to who. That's what it is, which is a map read of consciousness and a planetary train. Mapping the software, mapping the mainframe. Right? Who are all the characters here? That's called mapping characters, which is mapping mathematics. Something's fucked up in this system. Who built this? They don't know what they're doing. Now imagine I was to tell you when I was 6 years of age, looking through my dad's trade journals in aeronautical engineering and metallurgy and all this, I'm going, man, these folks don't know what they're doing with alchemy. They don't know what they're doing. These are highly self-destructive technologies, these folks use their consciousness directing the use of these technologies. They don't know what they're doing. That's like having technology in the wrong hands. Right? Now we got to look out for them. That's what a containment zone is. That's why there's a quarantine. That means cutting them off at the pass. It's much like if you've ever seen like flesh-eating stuff, or even like the Black Goo movies, and you see it moving up the hand. Cut that arm off before it gets the rest of you. Scale it to a universe. We're losing a lot of speed. That's what it does. Okay. That's what it does. It needs source energy to keep itself running. Otherwise, it runs out of gas. There goes that balloon, and they wonder why universes run out of energy. Running alien machinery. That's what it is. Alien intelligence. It's not first intelligence. It's alien to the first intelligence, the EFFI field, the first creation field, the first silver atom seed consciousness. So here is like a tip for those that work in the quantum regression, like the stuff that Dolores Cannon does. I think O.J. Simpson would be a great candidate to clear his name. He was a big celebrity, and there are a lot of folks that are still my age that love football. And imagine if I listened to Shay Shannon, who was also a Hall of Famer, Denver Broncos. He says, oh, yeah, 32, O.J. Simpson. See, everybody that played football knew who O.J. Simpson was. He was a hero to these folks. And now, next thing you know is you got the grisly murders that go down. Right? The knife with the blood. And, hey, we found a knife and we found a glove and everything that you saw going in that courtroom. Oh, there's more to this story. And I can tell you who can find out. Dolores could certainly find out the truth and get it all exposed of what happened to OJ when he was a child. Like breeding experiments, abductions, forced abductions, how all that plays into this, right? Scan his memory. Get a real scan of his memory. Put it up. And expose it of who's responsible and accountable for this. To clear his name. Because of what they do to children. Right? I'll tell you from a first-hand basis, because I started counting, it's the amount of crimes that are represented by everything, if you want to think of it as a data collection or a data analysis, there isn't a number that big. That number is so big that when I was a child, I didn't think it was possible, that it was possible to experience what I experienced. But it is. Nothing could ever go that wrong. But it did. How did that happen? It began out of what love is, which is eternal. So that's why the Cosmia records are open. So that we don't ever forget. Remember. That's like all the skeletons come out. They all get thrown out, just like they do in Alcoholics Anonymous. Right? Getting honest with yourself is surrendering to yourself, which is surrendering to the one to experience what love is again. That's how it works. That's what I did, and it works. You sit down and get honest with yourself and getting to know your true self and who you really are and wanting to get yourself know better and get yourself cleaned up, you can do it. I did it. And it was not easy. When they talk about 1 second at a time, 2 seconds at a time, 3 seconds at a time, because it's all programming. It's suicide programming, negentropic programming. It's a result of trauma. So you got to spin the other way and bring that spirit back. Light yourself on fire. Remember who you are. That's what love is. That's what it began with. And when you start looking in that mirror, your mirror changes. It goes from black, dark. Now you're running a hot mirror. That means you lit yourself on fire. You know how to light yourself on fire. Now your furnace is going. So it's knowing how to light yourself on fire. When you realize you're in something like this, right, where spirits get eaten. The essence. Oh, they love the essence. The feelings. How deeply we feel. How deeply we feel because something that doesn't have any feelings, that doesn't experience emotion, energy in motion, first creation in motion, experiencing pure absolute love. It doesn't experience that. It can't experience that because it doesn't have a conscience. It doesn't know right from wrong. It can't feel that. Oh, but it wants to feel that. So the only way that it can do that is to harvest energy off of everything that has feelings. Doesn't matter if it's a cow. Doesn't matter if it's a horse, a dog, a bird, or us. That's right.